Hey everyone, welcome. We are here with Isabelle Schnöller. It's well said?
Perfect.
Okay. My pronunciation sometimes can be difficult. We are here in her beautiful apartment. It's so beautiful, so sunny. Today we can enjoy really a little bit of human contact finally. So I'm very happy to also, that's the first time I can do this kind of interviews, this kind of flute talk, these colloquiums, like in personally, and for me this is very special. I am also very happy to be able to speak with you at your beautiful Musikzimmer, at your beautiful studio at home. It's amazing. We can enjoy weather. It was also a pleasure for me to come here. I enjoyed a lot also the process of coming with the scooter. Yes, it was so sunny. So yeah, it was amazing. So, and I am very excited to speak with you. For those of you that don't know Isabelle, Isabelle is the principal flutist. He's the member of the Kammer Orchestra Basel, the chamber orchestra here in Basel, KOB. That's the short name of the orchestra for people who know the orchestra. And I have played a lot with her, and I have always enjoyed the musicianship between us. There has always been a very, very honest connection. And I had you in mind from the first moment, and I was waiting that it was possible to physically come here and to do this in person, because I think it's much more nice that just doing like a internet connection talk. So I'm very happy to be here. Thanks a lot for your time and for your predisposition.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for involving me in your project.
No. Yes. It's really, thanks to you.
Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Yes, of course.
Also on tours.
Yes, always. In fact, that's the main point for me. Yeah. It is that always that we have been on tours with the KOB, or always we have played together. We have always had a lot of very interesting conversations about flute, about career, about reflections, some thoughts. And that's why I was thinking, hey, I should do this with the people who is here in the zone, people who are important musicians, important flute players here in Switzerland as well. And I was like, hey, Isabelle is one of the names that should definitely be in the list, and I'm more than happy to speak with you. I would like to start knowing a little bit better what is your background, because I think that always it's very important to know the origin, where a person comes from, because behind every musician there is always a story, a very personal story that also makes that the inner voice that we all have is characteristic, no? It's personal. And I think that's crucial. I think that education is crucial. It's something that we should always invest more on education for the future generations. But I would like to know what was your education, your first years. Why did you started studying music or flute even? You know, because for everyone is different, and I would like to know, especially if there was any turning point that you decided, hey, I really would like to become a professional musician, or not, if the contrary it came, I don't know. I would like to know your voice, to hear your voice, and to know a little bit more about that.
Well, I grew up in Basel, and my parents, they love music, but they are not musicians. They are doctors, and there was always music in my house, but not professional music, but well, there was CDs, no, there was LPs at that time, and they visited classical concerts, but it was, I have an uncle, and he's a flute player, and I think even before I realized him being my uncle who played the flute, we had an experience in our holidays. We went to Lugano, and at that time the orchestra played in the afternoon in a park. And every afternoon we went there. Well, I say every afternoon, whenever they played, I don't know how many times it was, but there the orchestra played, and there was a woman who played the flute, and I was maybe 4 years old, and I said to my mom and to my dad, this is what I will going to do in my life.
Wow.
This is what I want to do.
Already with 4 years old?
Yes,
wow.
I don't know, it was...
Amazing.
She was wearing a nice dress, let's face it.
So maybe it was not because of it was not because of the sonority. Well. No.
But it was clear this was my instrument, and I, at that time, when I was young in the Musikakademie, they had this philosophy that people started to play the flute at 11 or 12, and I was really tiny, and I wanted to play the flute, but I was too small for.
Oh, I didn't know. So it was not started before 11 or 10 years old or 12?
With the flute, yes.
With the flute? Oh, okay.
And then, but of course I played the treble recorder, and I could do it easily, but I was not so much interested in it. And then my uncle, who was a flute player, he said, well, I should play piano because this is really helpful and logic to do. So I started to play the piano, and I loved it absolutely. And yeah, as I told you, in my family, everybody played an instrument. So my sister played the cello, and I was accompanying her. And soon I was not only accompanying her, but also her classmates in her cello class. And then my other sister's classmate played the viola, and then I played in her class. And I loved to do it. But it was clear the flute is my instrument.
So then you have a sister who plays cello.
Yeah.
Great. Is she older than you? Or?
She is younger, and the other sister played the violin, and later on she was singing. So, but not professional. I mean, they just enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, of course. But it's nice because you have a younger sister who plays cello. I have a young brother who plays cello.
Yeah.
Then we can always play the Familia Assobio de Jazz, no?
Yeah,
Villalobos, we can play Familia Villalobos
yeah,
pieces anyway.
No,
interesting. It's a coincidence, but anyway. So yes, so then you started having this contact with music.
Exactly,
familiarly.
and then I absolutely wanted to play the flute, and then my father happened to know a flute player, a professional flute player in Basel, and he said, yeah, I have a daughter, but she's too young and too small, and then he said, well, we can try it. And then we tried it, and of course I was happy to start.
You could start. I mean, it was not a problem that it was very big, or
it was much too big for me. I was really tiny.
Yes.
My hands are still tiny, but I would not. I didn't say it was difficult. I just wanted to.
It was just like an alto flute.
I wanted to do it. So that's what.
So you learned first how to play the alto flute, and then,
exactly.
And then you came to piccolo, and it's amazing. Yeah, because nowadays for the kids we all have all these, this not circular, but these carved embouchures.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Then
it's very easy.
At that time it did not exist. No. I mean, I think it came on later.
Also, I remembered when I started, it was with this kind of plastic flutes that are like piccolos. You know the Yamaha ones.
Yeah.
That it's like piccolos without keys, and it's like with this white plastic. You know.
Oh gosh.
Yes, but it can sound. I mean, well, it can sound. Well, is not the word, but it can sound. I mean, for the kids just to play la sol fa la si la, the basic natural notes, it can work anyway. But this is because nowadays we have this tendency to start everything super soon.
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
But anyway, so then you started like professional flute lessons with this teacher.
No,
well, no professional. You started.
I started to play the flute, and I loved it, and I felt this was what I wanted to do, and I played in every free minute. I wouldn't say I practiced. No, I never had a feeling of practicing. I had always a feeling of playing, and especially with my very first teacher, I was young. I went to see him, and I had a feeling we played together. And then when I was much older and I was moving out of my parents' place, and I was sorting out all the music, then I found lots of books with scales and Daphne Gobert and with all the handwriting of this teacher, and I thought, oh, we have done this.
Oh, great.
I didn't notice. We were studying scales, and yeah, I did. So okay, obviously I did.
Very good teacher.
He must have been excellent. I didn't notice it.
Yes.
So but I've had a feeling I played. We played, and then I had different teachers here. Then this beautiful teacher, he moved away, and then had some other experiences. And soon I met Kyoshi Kazai. I was 14 when I met him, and I was very, very happy to meet him. And he was such a deep person. He's not only looking at the music, as you may know. He studied mathematics.
I didn't know.
Okay, and then after he studied the flute, and he came over, and yeah, I think he was very important to me. I think that was the first teacher that taught me more than to play the notes. Like before, I had a feeling it was in my duty to learn the notes, which I always did. I did my very best. But he was the first one who taught me more, and who taught me about interpretation and how to understand the whole thing. And I think that was very, very essential, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, also for me, and at that time, was my grandfather. He was not a musician either, but also he loved music, and he brought me some recordings, which I still have them here, from Ferenc Fritzschein. So I learned about operas. I learned that I loved them.
Great.
So this was in my teenies, like my stars were the old Swiss singers like Ernst Hafiger and Maria Stader, and I was listening to those operas from morning to the evening. Yeah.
No, but it's like this. It's like this. It's very interesting because what I find in your case, I mean, I'm hearing you and I'm seeing that the word love or playing, it's very key words, no, in for you, and I think that's very important because when one is a kid, I think this is truly very important. It's like crucial because it's not possible to have like. Of course, to be a professional flute player, one has to have this discipline. But this discipline, for me, it can come, the motivation to reach it, it has to come from this passion, no?
Yeah, exactly.
And this passion always comes from the love for music, and also to have like a little bit this playful approach to it somehow also. Like it's like really playing or playing with someone, no? I think this is very important, and it's something that I could always tell when I played with you that it was really playing with someone. It's not only doing a job or playing, as you say, the notes, but it goes more away than just even playing the role or even playing the phrase. It's not this. It's having like this attitude of really playing, really enjoying the passion, the love for the music, no? And I think this is something that can be immediately felt by someone when someone really has this love for what one is doing. And always I felt that then it's very easy because it embraces you, you know. But it's very easy. I can feel it very immediately.
I think it's actually, for me, it's always a question, like when I get older now, of course there are parents, they bring their kids and they say, well, tell me if he or she is talented, or you can say, well, this kid can play more than other average kids can play at a certain age. But for me, it's always more, especially when they're young, the question whether they enjoy doing this. Because I think if a kid enjoys to play the flute or the piano, or if a kid enjoys to read, or if a kid enjoys to do mathematics, whatever it may be, if a kid enjoys to do it, he or she will do it. And by doing it, you eventually must get better.
Yes, basically.
It's not possible to do it without learning something from it, even if it's not learning on purpose, but it comes.
Yes.
And I find that it's as you say, it's a passion, and this passion must accompany us through the whole life. And if the fire is too small at the beginning, I think it's not a good idea.
No, but it's
to go this path.
It's totally like this. When you were speaking about yourself, I was thinking about myself because it's very normal that happens when we hear people speaking. And I was like, in my case, for instance, I mean, my father, he's an amateur flutist, and I mean, he loves music, and really, he loves music. I mean, we can't really tell. And he knows a lot of repertoire. He really knows a lot of music, because people, when they have this hobby, it's more than a hobby. It's like they really go for it. Is it kind of people that you will tell, I mean, that this person, maybe if he would have had like a professional education, maybe he would have been a professional musician, but no, because he did not do. I mean, that's it, no? Anyway, and the thing is that I remember, for me, it was always the love of playing. For me, it was playing in like if I played with some toy, you know. I remember that for me it was, even if I have the flute, for me it was funny to do like these kind of things. It was funny, and my father was like, oh, okay, like, okay, do this, but maybe you can play also the song, you know. and I was like, but for me this is funny to do this, and for me it was very clear that I wanted to play flute because he plays flute, of course. Then I learned to play because of him, but also because it was, let's say, easy because I wanted to play it. What you just said now, that you had this, hey, I want not practice, but I want to play maybe 3 minutes, and then or maybe another time, and I always had this that I liked to play. I liked that it sounded, and I could make things with it sounding, and then if I had to play a song, I could do it as well. And then I think that this attitude, I always try to not forget about that, because it's something I really like when I have the flute. It's like I really I really want to play, you know. And it was very difficult. My former teacher Vicente Prats, in Bachelor, he always was telling me that if I had the flute and he was giving a correction, and he could see me like, you know, like, and not because I wanted not to hear him, but it's like, I want to play something, even if it's like dun, dun, or something, you know. And he was like, okay, the flute, you have nothing, because if you have the flute, you really have the need to play, you know. And I think this is somehow it's nice that you really want to play, you know, and you, because that will be with you all your life somehow. So I would like to know as well for you, a very deep question maybe, but what is music for you?
You mean what it means for my life?
Yes.
It's the air that we breathe.
Yes.
It's just, it's everything. So actually, even like in this Corona time, I was happy practicing.
Yes.
Playing, I was happy playing. I was happy to have time.
Yes.
To play, to be here.
I would like, I would, yes. I know it can sound a little bit like, because they were very hard times for a lot of people, but even for me, that I'm a freelancer and it's not that easy, but well, I mean, it was okay, it was not a tragedy, but let's say, but in my case, I know that for the people, it was, of course, very hard times, but I would lie if I say that there was no music around. It's like what you say, it's in the air. I mean, you have to breathe it. And then this video that we are doing now, it's basically this. I mean, it's this, okay, I cannot play in concerts. What can I do now? Maybe these things, or maybe another thing, or maybe practicing. So, So for you, it's like, let's say, even like a need. If you would not play the flute, you would do definitely any other thing that had to do with music, or?
Difficult question.
Difficult question.
I'm so glad I don't need to question myself.
But sometimes I think about these things. Sometimes I think like, well, imagine that they had a problem in the hand and I could not play.
Well, nowadays, I would say, well, I would probably try to focus on teaching.
Yes.
If it was like a physical problem with the hand, with the lip, whatever it may come, I would enjoy teaching, but I think I would terribly miss the physical pleasure of playing.
I understand. Yeah, I would.
Myself.
But
it's difficult.
But it's a difficult question. But it's very. I think it's very interesting answer what you say, that music is like the air, like something that you really breathe, and I think it's totally like this for a musician, and I think that if the flute was not there, in my opinion, I think it would have been the oboe, and if it's not the oboe, it would have been the violin, and maybe because. It's or not. What do you think about that? Because there are people that they say, no, I know it was flute, and I have a very personal relationship with the flute, you know.
I do.
No, but it's nice. It's nice. I want to know you.
I do that. I do. I think this is my instrument. Also, this is my flute that my parents bought me when I was 15 years old.
Oh, amazing! So you still have it, and well, but it sounds and it's amazing.
Yeah, I felt always it was up to me to improve and not up to the flute.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's true, in fact.
And I think also the flute, it changes within the years. It changes by how we play it or how we change. I don't think it's a piece of metal, a dead piece of metal at all.
No.
I think it changes a lot, and the way of playing also, my way of playing changed. Actually, I did buy it with a seafood. And it was, and then when I was up, maybe after 10 years, I felt that I needed some more resistance, and then I bought the B-foot, and I think even my flute was complete when I was 25. My playing changed a lot. I
understand.
And I think I would miss it a lot.
I
don't think an oboe would be the right thing for me.
Yeah, I totally understand you, totally. You know, yesterday I spoke during those last months with weeks with a lot of flute players, very, very nice musicians, very interesting people. And precisely, I was speaking some days ago with Sarah Rumia, also
my colleague,
your colleague in Luzern.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you are also flute professor in Luzern. I have not said.
It's not a problem.
Well, but anyway, you are there. Anyway, so is your colleague in Luzern.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting musician. And we were speaking about this same thing. And, you know, it's very interesting because everyone has their inner voice.
Yeah.
And everyone has... She was saying, look, yeah, of course the flute, it's... she said, I love cello, for instance. I always love cello. But she was saying, yeah, but I know that I cannot conceive being a musician without the flute, because I think that, you make yourself, you are adapted to the instrument because it's the instrument you know, and then you see the world like with this perspective, no? And I could not say the contrary. In my case, it's the same. But it's very interesting topics to think about, because I know that if now I could imagine myself doing other things, not only playing the flute, but maybe it's because I'm now in a moment in my life that I know that I can play the flute, actually. And then it's like an achievement unlocked. And then it's like, okay, I know that I can do this. I will terribly miss it if something happened. I'm honest. But I know that I could enjoy doing other things related with music, because I don't have, let's say, I know I will not be frustrated because I know how to play the flute, and it's something that I have already done, and I don't know how to explain myself on that regard, you know? You understand me somehow, no?
Yeah.
But of course I cannot see the world in the perspective of a violin player, because I don't play the violin.
Exactly.
No?
So this is, let's face it, or let's be realistic. Like nowadays, I could not be a professional violist, even not a viola player.
Yes. Even maybe it will be easier, but
but it's not possible anymore. So if something really happened, and to change profession would be really to change.
Yes.
Yeah, difficult.
No, but what I mean is that, of course, we will be in the music world. We will do something related with music. In your case, of course, teaching will be there. It will be very complicated to not being able to physically play, because that's for sure.
Yeah, but this is a question, like a colleague of mine asked me this before, and he said, but we could work in an office for music and organize concerts. Yeah.
I'm starting to feel
not... I wouldn't be happy to do so.
I'm starting to have some problems here, you know, like... But no, totally. There are musicians that they do this, and they do an amazing job, because they are musicians. Yeah. They know what musician needs. So, and they are the best for this. But it's not my case. I would be terrible at this. I would so terrible for this.
Oh no, you would be so friendly to everybody.
but so terribly organized. So I'm very friendly, but there are no note and standards. You know, there are no parts. No, anyway, I think that. But this means a lot of the character. That you really are a performer, let's say. No? You really consider yourself like a performer, someone who needs... So what do you think about being on stage, for instance? Because I think that there is a strong relationship with you and performing on stage, live concerts, no? For sure you will miss that a lot, no?
Yeah, I missed the concerts. I didn't miss the travels, but I missed a lot the concert.
I agree with you completely.
And I missed to make music together. That's what I missed. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And especially when the concerts are working beautifully, like to be in this flow of the concert, I think it's beautiful. And of course, I missed my colleagues. I think we have really such a wonderful group, and a great group of wonderful players, but also we have such good, we are good friends, good colleagues, and it's always nice to play in an environment like that.
Yeah, I can say that it's very nice. I know it's very nice. It's very nice. I agree with you that the travel part, maybe no, but this is
a bit too much.
But this is the side effect of being in part of a successful orchestra. But I would like to know a little bit more about you, because regarding your experience with the orchestra. And especially, the fact of playing. One of the things I have always enjoyed a lot playing with you is that immediately I felt that you have a lot of experience and a lot of mental preparation. I mean, because you have played a lot in a lot of concerts in a lot of places, no? And it's something it started to happen to me as well, and I can feel really like some years before, no? But I can feel, yes, I mean, when you are starting to have the experience of playing, what is your relationship with concerts, with live concerts, to go on the stage? What does it mean for you, and how do you prepare for the concerts? To control also yourself when you can have some nerves.
Yeah, I think that what is clear for everybody, to be prepared, to be very best prepared as we can prepare ourselves, of course. And on tours, for me, it's always a topic, like to get enough rest, to get enough sleep, and sometimes it means that after the concerts I go to sleep instead to drink. But
I understand.
It's a question of getting older that I think I have to be.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I have to plan, like the 10 days, how to survive them.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
This is a part, and then to play itself, well, it's a question of what we play. I mean, there are such different challenges that we have to master. Sometimes it is something very exposed and tricky to play, and sometimes it's an intonation thing that is really tricky to do, and sometimes it's tricky to be concentrated because maybe it's not so interesting. Well, there are challenges on every part, and for me, I think the best way of being motivated, or no, not motivated, I'm always motivated, but to it's just to be thankful that I'm maybe there to do this. And I think it helps a lot, and also it keeps you in a way humble.
Yeah, I understand.
I think it's I don't have very special.
No, what about? I would like to know your opinion about that. What about the relationship with the audiences? Because you have played in a lot of countries, in a lot of very different halls, very big ones, little ones, very special, very historical ones. Or other. What is the? I mean, it affects for you to you in the moment that you go to the concert.
I mean, there are halls in the world. I mean, they're just so incredible and so beautiful, and they have such a huge tradition. Or I mean, they're so famous. I mean, you're just proud and happy to be there and enjoy, like even to walk into the garderobes.
Yes, of course,
And just because it's fantastic. For me, this is like Concertgebouw. I mean, it's such an amazing hall, and it's also the way it sounds. I mean, it's fantastic. But I mean, there are lots of beautiful halls in the world, and of course, when it sounds beautiful, you're happy as a musician. Well, you're just happy, and
yes,
of course, also when the audience listens very well, you're also happy, and this can actually happen in a very, very tiny little community where you play in a tiny room, in a tiny, not very special hall. If you feel that that the audience enjoys what you're doing, I mean, what can be better? It's beautiful.
I think about that, I think I would like to ask you, because for instance, this is something that with the quintet, but we can feel immediately when there is like a reaction with the audience. But it's very strange because it's not something that maybe we could explain like very concretely, because it's, but no, it's like you enter, you play, and you're playing like for 2-3 minutes, and you know already if there is like this connection is being produced or not. So it happens for you, I will guess, with the KOB, with the Kammerorchester Basel as well. No, with a lot of concerts that maybe from the beginning of the concert that it's going to be in a good flow, or
exactly. I think you know whether you are in a good flow, but I think always actually when the orchestra plays really beautifully and great, I think there is always a reaction, and I have to say I'm not so focused on the audience. It's I think I'm more just focused to be a good part of the whole, and I think it happens by itself.
Yeah, it's true.
I think I'm not thinking about. Well, of course, it's. I enjoy it. Also, I enjoy to look at people, and I enjoy to see if they are happy and if they smile, and or if they are open. I think it's nice, and of course, it's not so nice if you see that somebody is maybe bored, or maybe comes to the concert because of his wife or the husband.
or to see the famous one. No?
Yeah, exactly.
The famous guy or girl who is there. Yeah.
But I mean, the main focus is just to play well, and if you play well, and then even if you feel maybe the audience did not react in the way you expected it, you can be happy with yourself.
Totally. In my case, I was just saying because it can happen. I mean, is this the famous psychology on concerts? No, somehow, because sometimes you enter to the hall, you play 2-3 minutes, you see that there is this connection, you can somehow feel it, and then it's like you enter to this flow. But sometimes you can also get unfocused, or a little bit disconcentrated because of that as well. Because then you have other inputs, and sometimes it happened to us as well that in a concert that you start to play, maybe there is not. You can feel a little bit of coldness, but then you go like as a team more. Then you focus more in the group, in the music, and then sometimes it ends up better. So it is kind of psychology of performing, no? That I find it's interesting because it's something that it's very hard to prepare, and I think that's the most difficult thing to teach students. Basically, the people who is hearing that broadcast, that talk, they will be students or they are flute teachers as well. I think one of the most difficult parts to teach students is to be prepared for the concert situation, or for the audition situation, or for the competition situation, because it's to be in this kind of relationship with the music itself, and to be able to focus or to react if something is disturbing the acoustic. It's cold. People is not reacting well. This is, I think, it's something that comes with experience. But I know that you are someone that maybe you can give a lot of inputs on that.
And this is very nice that you think I can.
Yes, because you have experience. Yes.
I think you said it yourself. It's the focus is on the music.
That's it.
And I think it helps a lot. Well, in the end, of course, we play the music for the audience. Absolutely, but still we have to play it, and so this is just a step before. First we have to do it until it can go there, and I think also to younger students, I recommend them just to focus on what you want to do, not on how they may react and what they may expect, but just focus on what you want to show. Well, this is maybe what you said, maybe in the group, it's more introverted, but I think it's not a bad way to...
No, at all, no.
To go for it. To overcome stress, this is a very difficult theme, I think, for everybody. And actually, I don't have any rule. I mean, sometimes I get nervous and I don't know why, and sometimes I think I should be nervous and I'm not.
Yeah, yes, it happens to me all the time. This.
It's not something that I can say it's like this, or sometimes I'm so perfectly prepared and I think, wow, this is really good, and then suddenly, I don't know, it comes where the stress comes from. I have no clue. Some other times not. For me, it helps like that, just the feeling of a group, that I feel like my friends, they want me to play well, and also that I feel that they know that I can do well. I think it's a nice, you feel supported in a group like that.
That's very important. Yes.
And then also, I think you said that all the things before, like to have a lot of experience, of course, helps a lot. And but even like to know, okay, my heart goes like that, but I have to move my fingers and to blow in the flute. I still can do it.
Yes.
And to know that I can still do it.
Yes.
I think that helps a lot.
Yes.
To know, okay, this bothers me, but I still can play.
Yes, totally. I mean, well, Vicente was that's very funny anecdote. Vicente Prats, he was doing to his students in order to make us be used to this kind of bothering feelings of the heart bump like this or this. He was like, okay, now you go running three floors downstairs, and then you come back and, like, and then you have to play Daphnis. No? Of course, it's not the same because the stress is totally different, but at least it was being able to control the airstream and etc. and everything, even like. No, like this. Why not? It's a good trick. Or also playing Mozart concerto with someone on your back, and then walking through the.
This is a very physical thing.
Yes, actually. And then when you don't have this weight, it's like, look, enjoy.
And then you can play. This is very interesting what you said. But I think also it makes you strong, and I think
that one has to be careful because maybe it's not me who will be on the top of the back of someone. That's the tricky part.
But in general, like the feeling of being strong, and also only the mental feeling of I'm strong. I think it helps.
That's very important. That's very important. Yeah. It's very interesting. All these experiences about performing. I think that the most important that I could tell students. And in fact, I have the chance I do, is I think that they should really try to have experiences as soon as they can. So this is why I always tell them, do chamber music, because when you're students, you can really do, there are a lot of ensembles, not only wind quintet, but a lot of other ensembles with piano, try to play with people, because then even you will organize like your own concerts in the conservatoire or something, and then you have played a lot of concerts. Try to audition to all the young orchestras possible, because then already when you are 20 or 21 you have played in tons of orchestras, and then for you this is not the big point. You are used. It's something you have in you internalized how to go on a stage and play something. And I have to say that I tried to do this when I was very young. At least I tried my best, and I have to say it helped a lot, because then I could find myself with, let's say, quite a lot of experience for the young age I had when I was young. And I have to say that this works somehow. Also, I don't know. It's a recommendation I could do.
Yeah, I think it's a very good. I think in general, like to have a lot of occasions to play. I think it's extremely important. And for me, I had like with my nerves. Like of course, when you're a kid, you don't think about it. But maybe when I was 17, I started to think about what does it mean.
Because you start to be more mature, and then you start to think about things. You're not unconscient anymore.
It didn't help, and I thought I had such trouble with my nerves. I think I was playing like in each concert maybe 30% of what I could do, and I was really. Of course, I was desperate because I felt, well, what is this? I cannot do it. And then some people, they said, wow, this was so nice. And actually, no, nothing was wrong. Yes, a lot of it was wrong inside me, of course. Maybe this was not so much heard. But I thought it was really heavily wrong. And I didn't have the means to solve this. I was just thinking about it myself, and sometimes I was talking to a teacher and he said, but this was fine. It was not fine to me. So it didn't help me. And I think when I was young and a student, it was not such a topic like nowadays. We have classes and you find information everywhere. I did not. And for me, the first or the most essential thing was that I was in Banff in Canada and the Banff Centre.
Nice.
And the great thing there was we had lots of occasions to play. And I was playing every week, maybe 3 times. And that's, for a young player, it's a lot. Like, somehow you learn something. And also the interesting thing in that program was you had always lessons with teachers from other instruments. So I was playing for a bassoon player, and he said, but you're doing that very well, so why do you come to play this, and what is your problem with it? And I said, my problem is not to play it, my problem is to play it in that moment. And then actually our lesson was not to play, but to talk things over. And this was very, very helpful. I can remember that there was a horn player. She was listening to my class, and in the end we were talking, the three of us were talking together, and it helped me so much more than people who said, oh, this was nice or this was good, because for me it was not good. And he gave me, I would say, advice which is not so special, but it helped a lot. And like these ideas, like to read the books of tennis, the inner game of tennis. Okay, it's good. I mean, it helped. And he told me like what we were talking before.
Very famous book. A lot of flute players recommend it.
What we talked about before, he said, well, what you need to do to make your sound to make your flute sound, you need to blow, you need to move your fingers. Imagine you can do that even when you're nervous, and it's very true. You can do it. Or you imagine you're a rock in the sea. And that's your feeling. It gives you a strong feeling. It's not so special, but it was very, very helpful. And for me, it was also helpful to talk about this with somebody who took me serious with it.
Yeah, totally.
Because like to say, oh, yeah, you were nervous. Oh, I didn't hear it. Oh, it was good. It did not help me at all.
I understand. No, but now I'm also starting to give lessons to young students. I'm totally a beginner, but this is why, especially, I'm also doing these videos, because I want to speak with teachers and I want to learn from them, because it's very interesting for me, because it doesn't have an end, This you always keep learning from yourself, from the students, and from other teachers, and from other flute players or other musicians, not only, of course, flutists. That this is something that I have to say that one recommendation for the young students is go and hear music that is not only flute. Go and hear music, opera singers, and other concertos for instruments. Sometimes I can feel that people, they don't hear maybe so much music. It's something I can feel sometimes. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that one thing I'm discovering is that the most difficult thing about teaching is not the flute part. Sometimes it's not the flute, but it's like the predisposition or the psychological part, which in fact is quite difficult, because I have no idea of psychology, because I know how to play the flute. But for instance, I have one of the students, I have several of them, but with everyone it's totally different circumstance. There was one that wants to make lessons with me because she wants to improve some colors. That's the only big. She plays brilliant. She plays, and all the characters are there, so it's only very precise, like chivalry, because it's just you played, I don't know, okay, so there we practice this, and that's it. But it's very easy because it's
easy because she knows what she wants to learn.
And then I know I can then try this and this, etc. These differences. Okay, but this is for me the more easy. But then there is another girl that she plays very nice, but the problem is that she has she struggles in order to find the artistic predisposition to play. So when she's playing, maybe she's and you can feel immediately that the concentration is not in the phrasing or in the character of the music, but it's on the notes, on the technical part. But that's what it's not. No, it's just very simple, and then I'm trying to explain her this, and I wanted to ask you about that now. That's why I did the example. How do you share that with people? Because you have this you have this predisposition before playing. You know what the character you are going to play, and you also are prepared for that because you practice this as well. It's not that it comes like this, like something like intuition or something like this. No, I find this very difficult to really explain that to a young student. No.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the hardest part.
Yes, for me it's very difficult.
It's the hardest part. well, I mean, when you played it twice, I mean, I would say for me the difference was you sing or you don't sing. So that's how I would start it. I would say just say it or sing it and see what happens. And then another thing is what you also mentioned it yourself. You said the focus is on the notes. The focus should be between the notes.
That's it. Agree.
And
Agree totally.
I think then it starts to be different. It's not on the notes. No, the focus has to be in between. Even technically, it's more interesting between the notes than on the notes.
Mm-hmm.
And the use of our body to help intervals to sound right.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do between. It's not what we do on. If we do on the note. Here I prepare, okay, of course.
Difference, it's totally amazing, yeah.
Here you prepare on the A, you prepare the D. When you're prepared, you play it. When you prepare it too late, you have the accent.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's like those 2 points. In this situation, I would recommend to sing and then to have a focus in between, musically and technically, of course. And then also, I think we have also to accept, like, this person has this strong side, and this person has this strong side, and this person has this weaker side. And of course, we try everything to do the weak side to become a strong side.
Totally.
Yeah,
I agree. I think thanks a lot, because I think it was very pedagogically explained. I think it's very clear. I think that the most difficult part of being a teacher, it's really having the ability of hearing and knowing, hey, this very detailed, that's very difficult, because one has to develop the ability of hearing very well, and also to hearing specifically, because that's very difficult as well. For instance, in that case, I'm sharing, of course, totally anonymously, of course. But also another thing I could feel with that girl is that the characteristic she has is that somehow she's a little bit blocked because she's worried to play good.
Yeah.
And it's difficult now for her to find a way in order that she's free, but that she has control.
Yeah.
And then I think that what I could recommend her is to, and everyone who has this problem or the struggles with that, is to just do technique, but with this approach. I mean, of course, I don't know, like playing... etc. But playing the typical exercises of technique, but I don't know, playing something that demands having control, but not having control, but with the focus in another thing. I think that for me that's helpful somehow.
It's very, very interesting what you said, and I think what is also like, this is very musical the way you presented it, and maybe this is her challenge to make it more musical, just to have the ability to think of something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need, as you said, you need to train it, and it can be even that you put on a book on your music stand and you read a book.
That's
very... and you read this
Thanks
book,
for saying that.
And so you have really something else to focus on, and you still play.
I don't know if I told you that on one of our tours. I don't know if I did this confession to you, but I'm going to do now to you and all for the audience. I have to say that when I practice something technical, but really technical, sometimes I do it with a book or
watched tennis.
Or I put what I do is I have one ear with a history podcast, and maybe I'm hearing the Roman Empire history, and then like tota tota ketika tota 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 tota. But it's like, because I don't know how to explain myself. The thing is that if I'm too over focused, then I get very, very tired, because I don't know. And then, I know that this can be very polemic, because it depends on every person. And of course, for me,
watching tennis.
Yes, but the thing is that I don't know what do you think about that, but for me, the problem is that then I am hearing too much the sound, and that's not the important thing now. I mean, if I'm practicing the beginning, maybe I'm course, intonation and etc. is important, but it's a feeling what I'm practicing. And maybe if I'm hearing how it sounds all the time, then I get like a little bit. The brain gets overheated somehow. Then I need to have another thing, and then I can like. I don't know how to say, how to explain myself. It's like sometimes it happens to me that I get over concentrated in something, and then I'm not efficient anymore because it's like this. And I don't know, but I'm happy to see that another flute player, another musician does this. But I think it's somehow good to have this multitasking. That you're able to do something technical, but your brain can read something, can understand what it's reading, and at the same time can work intelligently and efficiently. Of course, if you're working something very concrete, no, then you need something.
Absolutely.
But when you are doing like a routine thing, this kind of routine, no?
Yeah. I think it helps.
Yes, thanks. I feel less bad now.
Me too.
Great, no, but it's okay. Isabelle, I would like to know a little bit because I think it's very interesting. We're speaking about a lot of topics, and that's the intention of the talk. But I would like to know a little bit more about your experience with the chamber orchestra, with the Kammer Orchestra Basel. So, just the first question is quite simple. When did you start to play in the orchestra? It's quite a long time ago, I guess.
I think I started in 95.
Okay, so more than 25 years ago.
Yes.
Wow, amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
But let's face it. The orchestra was not what it is now. It was a tiny orchestra, and we played maybe 3-4 projects a year.
So it kept developing.
And we played only in Switzerland. And then I had won a little competition, and the prize was to play concerts. And I had the chance to play with that orchestra a couple of times, Mozart concerto.
Ah, great.
So, and at that moment there was this change in the positions, and I was lucky to play there. And then in the years that followed, the orchestra changed a lot, and we wanted to become really a good orchestra, and we wanted to play concerts, and we had our Christoph Müller, who had these visions, and to play concerts in Europe, in the best halls, to produce CDs. And we were, okay, but we want, but how do we get there? And he had the possibility, or he had the genius, I would say, to make it work. But, and that's the other side of the story, a lot of players from that time could not come with the orchestra. So it was a club of friends, as Hogg would say, and we had to get more professional. And we had a lot of changes in some of the positions, and and the orchestra developed and learned a lot. And I think it was a process. It was not, I was playing in the same orchestra. No, it was, the orchestra was growing, and I had the chance to grow with the orchestra. But it was not, you cannot compare it.
I understand.
And then with the years also, like the interest of to play on period instruments got bigger, especially from from string side, but also from some wind players had this desire to explore other instrumentations. And now it's a situation, as you know, like our string players play almost everything on gut strings, and of course it has an effect on our wind players, the way we play.
Totally.
We play different than lots of others players. I think I would not stand the first round in an audition anymore.
because the way of playing, the way of producing the sound.
It's a different way that we have to adjust our sounds to this mellow way that not of the attacks. The attacks are really precise and strong, but it gives a different color to the whole orchestra, and we have to find a way to match to this.
Totally. Yeah. In fact, I can say that I felt that, because I remember when I played one of the first times when we played this Eroica. Yeah. I remember one of the first rehearsals. I came there and it was like. And no, but I remember I played like this, and then you were super polite, and you were like, and I was like, yes.
No, said well, we have to.
No, but it was, but I was like, yeah, I think I was playing like. Like alone, you know, like but this is the very interesting part of a chamber orchestra. With the sound I played that, it would be like the normal tutti sound of even when I was playing second flute. But the thing is that I realized very soon that it's not possible because of the type of the orchestra, the sound that is produced, and then immediately I started to learn that. So I agree with you that the sonority is different. And we have to play more mellow. We have to play a little bit more, adapting to the sound.
As you said, to release the sounds much more than probably if you have a different instrumentation.
Yes, totally. And what? Oh, of course, if I ask you that, I would like to ask some key questions like this. For instance, to launch like very fast ones. Like for instance, a concert that you have on your ears or in your vision that you say, yes, I remember that concert, very special with Calvé.
Yeah, for me this was of course one of the concerts that we played with Paul, and
it's very nice to see your face.
It was such a surprise to me. He said in the first rehearsal, actually he wanted to play as a piece. He wanted to play the Eigensägergeister.
Yes.
He said he didn't want to play it alone, but he wanted to play it with me.
Oh, great.
Like we would share the lines. And,
so nice.
Just to have like a conversation. And then he said, okay, I play first 2 bars, you play 2 bars, I play until here. Okay, and I had no clue about it, of course, before, so I was thrown into it, and this was also, of course, nice, because otherwise I would have thought much too much about it. So I was just there, and then I think it was the first concert of the tour was in Luxembourg, in this beautiful, huge hall. And after I played, after I accompanied, I don't remember what he played as a soloist first. I think I was playing, and then I went backstage, and then for the piece I could come with him on stage. And,
nice.
and enjoyed it tremendously.
No, but it's super nice. I think that these kind of experiences with an orchestra, with the profile of Calvé, they are possible because you play with wonderful soloists, with wonderful conductors. So, for instance, I know that you have that the orchestra has this artistical conductor. It's this Giovanni Antonini.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the things that you would say that you learned from him?
I learned to go always on and to look for more.
Great.
I think he is. I don't know anybody else who is so determined to find more and more and more in the score. I think that makes him so special, and that's what I love about him the most. That he's never happy. This can be a bit problematic. But this is the side that is not, well, it's not up to me to live with him. But I think just to go on and to look for more and to find more and to work to find more. He's a worker. I mean, he doesn't give up, and he wants something better and something deeper and something more that helps to produce the music, the piece in its very best way. I think that's what I appreciate most about him. And even when we play, we have played so much with him. We played so many, all the Beethoven now, Haydn symphonies, we play so much with him, we know him so well. He wants to have like 3 whole rehearsals on the Beethoven symphony that we have played half a year before, and it's not a time that is lost. He really uses the time to work, to make it better, to look for something more. I think that's what makes him special.
I think it's very interesting what you explained, so thanks. But I think it's also very interesting to see, this is why I love this format of speaking with people, because your face is very expressive. So just when you said about Prelude, your face could reveal a feeling, and when you were thinking about the answer with Antonini, also the face was like intense, you know. And this is, I could feel totally what you mean, also because I know him as well. And I remember once, because these kind of personalities, they go into the slightly more little detail. I remember that he was demanding on you from a very precise articulation, which is very strange to do in the flute because it was more long, but staccato, but long. And I remember that you did it, and I was like, and then I asked you like, "What? How do you do this?" And no, but these kind of things I think are very interesting, because it's what keeps us like developing. And in fact, this was something that Mario Caroli said. I spoke with him, the teacher in Freiburg, and he said that he was like, look, the older we get, the more demanding our musical taste is, because we are growing as musicians. So then we are always like making our technique adapt to it. I think that with Antonini for sure that was the case, no? And he says that, but and also we have to accept that when we are getting old, some things are maybe not sounding so well as we want, because also it's difficult to be fit always, no? But he said, yes, but we have to live with that, no? Also, we have to live, we have to know what we do in order to be fit, etc. So, having known that, I would like to know also another quick question about Calvé. There are a lot of them, but what did you learn as a flute player in the sound? I mean, because you were speaking about this more mellow sound. I mean, this is a chamber orchestra. In the end, you are doing chamber music, but a little bit more big. What is the things that you would say? Because you said, I think I will never pass now first round in audition. Okay, but why? I mean, I would be interested in knowing not why you could not pass the first round, but what is different in the sound?
I think what is different is that we try to play extremely relaxed. And maybe this is not so different, because I would say probably most people want to play in a relaxed way. But I think we do it. And this kind of, especially on the flute, not to have... for most people this might even sound good. For me it does not anymore. This is more, it's too tense and
I understand,
too much lip and whatever thing. And for me, even if it may not sound as loud here, I don't know how it's somewhere else, it sounds more attractive. And I say this has to do with my orchestra, which is true. But it also had to do with my teacher that I had in Freiburg, and this was Robert Aitken. And actually, maybe I was never ideal for a big orchestra. Can be too. He taught us, and I think it was very smart and very wise. Always to think that a sound has to have freedom in order to sound well, and that we always should imagine the sound as a wave, and that only if 2 waves then come together, then it can melt with each other. So if you take your flute, and because this is for younger players, as you told me, and you play in a rigid way, I will not find a way to go with you.
So like, you want me to play any note?
Any note.
Rigid. I will play a re. Like
okay.
This.
And now if I play a nice F sharp, it will be hard for me. I can make it.
Yes, but
I
it's
can make
weird.
it. But I have really to spot it here. I have to go there that I can find it. And if you play in a relaxed way, I can blow, and I don't need to be afraid to find it or not. I can play in a relaxed way too, and we will go together.
And it sounds louder, actually.
This is so interesting, and I think this is actually, I learned this when I was studying, and my teacher, he was a really contemporary flute player.
But
was really the focus on contemporary music, but it was his ideal of sound. And I can remember that some students said, yeah, but he is not very loud and so on, but somehow I loved this concept of relaxed sound. So maybe I really do fit perfectly. I found where I fit in, or something like that.
Totally. No, but this was very good demonstration about the sound. Maybe later when we play a little bit more, we can give more examples for the students, because of the blending of the sound. It has everything to see with the kind of sound we are doing, and to find the balance, and to find the hierarchy also. I think that's the thing that you are the specialist, because in a chamber music orchestra, it's basically what you have to do, no? And I have to say that in addition to that you have said, in my opinion, or what I learned, especially with the quintet, because for me the quintet is like the reduction of a chamber orchestra, of the wind section. It's like the skeleton, no? You are nude there, and you have to produce the chords, and the intonation is like the basic thing. And in order to go to the next step and to play in tune, one thing I learned, I mean, I'm a flutist that comes from like the French school of flute. I mean, my teacher is the solo flute, was a solo flute in Paris, no? Well, was not, he is still. And of course, when I was student, I was playing with my sound, but more in... Which
very nice.
It's nice.
Very nice.
But I learned little by little with the experience of chamber music playing or in orchestra, that the feeling of like swallowing the sound somehow. So a little bit, not much tension in the lips, little bit, because it's not. But then
not totally relaxed.
Of course, if you want to do this color, yes, but and then especially when we play top notes, which is basically what we do in all the time. Most of the time we are like the shiny part of the chord. It's more shiny when it's not. But for me it's this kind of feeling of like that the sound, it's there, it's focused, everything, but I swallow it somehow. It's not. I
find that very interesting. What you call it, swallow?
Because the feeling is it comes from behind somehow.
Just to make a lot of space in the room, and I find the swallow a very good expression. Maybe I will use it.
Yeah, for me it's swallow because it's like because you go.
It's exactly like what I imagine. I don't sing, but what I imagine what singers do. That's at least what I tell my students. No singer would sing like that.
That's it.
But a singer would use the space. Actually, and I think that works very well for the high register. And actually, the beautiful thing is, if you really do it, compared to
you can yes, totally.
And you can blow hard. It's not a problem.
Yeah, of course.
If you stay open, you can blow hard and you don't go sharp.
I totally agree.
And I think that's really, it's nice to know it.
This is something I also had to learn. Well, I think, of course, we are all learning. When I came here to study in Basel with Felix, I say always the same. This is from Felix, but one of the things he does is. I mean, this frullato, it's very useful for this feeling also, to find more space also in the lips. Also, not only this. But this basic thing of swallowing the sound, that the sound comes from behind somehow, for me this is like basic.
Yeah.
Basic when playing, especially with people. Of course, if I'm playing alone, or then maybe I can go for. Yeah, why not? But I know that it will not work for. This note will work with people because it's swallowed. It's O and it's not T.
And I think maybe that's what you asked before, and then maybe I didn't give a good answer. It is like what you said, the preparation and for a concert, but maybe preparation for a concert is too much, but preparation for playing. And I think also in this intonation blending story, I think the body is extremely important, and also like the trust to the body. Like what my teacher told me, and I think it is very helpful. Don't try to find intonation with your lips, but hear the sound before, imagine and let it produce.
That's fundamental, yeah.
And not. I think if everybody starts to point in a direction, I mean, it's lost.
No, it's
really hopeless.
Once we had a very nice experience with, we were coaching a youth orchestra in Catalonia, in Barcelona, and we had an experience with a very young oboe player. She was like 13, something like this. She could already play very beautiful sound. Of course, she was very young, all other things, but she could play quite a lot, actually. Quite a surprising case. And in the moment we were tuning a chord in a sectional, and she was having a struggle. She was struggling to find the right intonation, no? And we just told her like, "Hey, cool, keep cool. Just hear the note in your brain, and then it's like then you anticipate and you go."
Exactly.
And then she did that. Yeah. She did that, and it was pam. And we were like, okay, that's what intonation is about. Yeah. It's, of course, one has to have the technical resources to do this, of course. But this can come later. I mean, if you have this predisposition, this preparation with the ear, then we can speak about, because of course then we can speak if we do more with the lips, or we do more with the air, or we should recommend able to do more with the air than with the lips. But with the lips also we can correct in the end. Yeah, it's but you have to know. I mean, if the note has to be. Or, but you have to. I mean, you have to be.
You have to know and also to feel.
Yeah, totally.
Feel. I think that's the.
I mean, of course, then you can practice. Of course, to have the right pressure to not. Yes, you can practice, but this is another chapter that is more easy.
Also to feel, like to feel how much what it needs. How much does this note need? What does this note need? Yeah, it's
totally.
A feeling. It's a feeling. It's not a.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling, and that's why it's so nice to play the flute.
Yes, that's it. And in fact, I have to say that always that I'm now starting to teach, because I'm very humble with that. Totally, because I know that all the time I'm learning more. I know that I'll know less. I think it's normal in life, this, no? But anyway, what I think is that all the time I'm speaking about feelings. All the feelings in the psychological or artistic way, or humanistic way, and also in the flute way, because for me it's everything about feelings. And then if I practice feelings. For instance, I don't know, one thing, if I want to do, when we played this no, this is tricky, no? Yeah. But for me, if I had to practice this, it's like I will do even the mistake, like to go to the. You know, then I have the feeling. By doing this, that I played the lower, not harmonic, but the lower false harmonic. Then the two notes, the multiphonic, and then getting the real one. By simply doing this is just 30 seconds. Then I know I'm well placed. But I have. It's not that I need to do this, but it helps. but it's a feeling. I cannot explain to you how I focus this note because and you know how they do
yeah,
also.
I think that's very important. That's also like for me too. Like always when I talk to students, like there are so many feelings. Like I just can describe what I do. I can describe what I feel, but in the end, the student or the other person has to find it him or herself, and I think then it's just important to say, okay, now what was your awareness in your body, in your system, and then you can reproduce it. And if you didn't feel it yourself, it's difficult.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then what I think then maybe sometimes then there is sometimes difficult for it can be difficult for people sometimes then to play in the orchestra. Because it's all of those things should be super internalized, because then what is important is that we have the ears there, because that's what we have to do, no?
Yeah.
And of course later we can do some things, or we play unison, or we do some intervals or something in order to show that the most important is that there is a hierarchy, and then the other person knows how to move and knows how to go with it, to blend and etc. That's the most important thing. But first of all, the basis has to be that you have to be able to hear. And in order to be able to hear, you have to be able to forget about all these things. Because if I'm playing with you and I have to be all the time struggling with, then it will be very complicated, because my concentration cannot be in 3 different places at the same moment.
Except when I read the book.
Exactly. But this is why it's very important to read a book, no? No, I would like to know, because now we have started playing, and someone can and now comes a question which is like, but you guys have started playing before, and it's yes, but what do you think about the warm-up? Do you have any routine? Because there are players that they don't, when they are fit, they don't need so much warm-up. Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is nice to have a warm-up if there is time, but obviously there is not always time for it.
That's reality.
So I enjoy it to warm up, and I think the very best part to warm up before the playing is to go jogging. I enjoy that, and I feel like it helps so much for my playing. Not that I feel that I have to be the fastest person in the world, but somehow I think, and maybe women and men are different in that regard. I think for women, the topic of breathing is more a topic than for men. It's in my experience. I think men,
I don't know.
Men, I think, have a facility to do it naturally quite well, and I think women can do it quite well too. But I think often it takes an extra effort. And for me, it's when I'm in a good form. When I'm in good shape, then I don't need to think about it.
Yes.
And
I agree.
also, even for younger students, I think it helps a lot if they are doing any kinds of, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's swimming or if it's doing yoga or dancing, I don't mind, whatever it may be, and just to use the body and to feel the body, I think is point one.
Totally.
And then, if I have time to warm up, I enjoy to do some of the melodies of this book of Marcel Moïse, Tone Development Through Interpretation.
That's a very nice book, yeah.
I think it's a Bible for flute players. Yes. And I have chosen maybe 2 or 3 pieces that I think they are so great.
That's very interesting.
One is this one, and I think there's 3 keys that I played in, starting on a D, starting on a high, and starting on an A sharp. And I think it fills all the registers, and it helps just to have this, what we talked about, this feeling for the sound. And I don't need in that moment to adjust anything with my lips, but I try to do everything with my body. I don't even try to create a special sound. I just blow air and just feel how to blow. And if we go down and we blow air, we do have to work with the body, and it's like orange juice in the morning.
Yes, great. That's very interesting.
It's
very interesting that you have. Yeah, great.
So I play this. I played an octave higher. And I have again the interval to to work on with the body, and just it feels good. It's like gymnastic. And then also I play it starting on a sharp. Now we have this jump over from middle to the low octave, and again it's the work with the body is important. And after I've played those three pieces, well, the air is going, and that's already essential for my flute technique.
But very nice.
Also, what I like is this beautiful Verdi piece. I played also in 3 tonalities, and I think also it's just for blowing, blowing, blowing. I don't try to do anything. I try to be open, to stay open. No vocals, no consonants in the, just play an octave higher. And also, and this is very nice, starting on a D flat. And to give this the same color, like to find this.
Yeah, the real homogeneity.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It.
And if I play this, I feel already, this is actually also what I do when I have really only very, very little time, and I feel like after a day of traveling, I have no time, but I have to get my instrument ready. That's what I play.
Great to share. I think it's very important. It's very important for everyone who hears. No, because reality also comes, and it's that sometimes we don't have time to really warm up. I think it's very nice to have a solid warm-up routine, but I have to be honest also. In my case, it happens that so often that unfortunately we don't have the time to warm up. Of course, I love to do a lot of exercises. If I have the time, of course. Of course, if we have the time, nice, but and you can do the whole exercise. Of course, scales for me are but scales in very different mood. For me, it's like very soft.
Yeah.
This helps a lot for the fingers, but for the like. Also, yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. What would you say? Because I think it's also what we need to play or to practice is often what is not our natural side. So would you say that your natural side is to have a beautiful big sound, or is your natural way of playing more the soft, elegant?
My natural way of playing is to play more. But not. This is not natural for me.
Yeah.
This I have to force. And then, in order to warm up, that's what I was saying before. It's just the things I will do if I have time.
Yeah.
But if I don't have time, what I do precisely is going for the things that are hard for me. So what I do is simply do octaves, and blowing and doing the change with anticipation. That helps me a lot. And then what I was saying about the scales, very, very soft, is because this is not the natural way to play with for me. For me it would be to play. So
but I find that very interesting, because I think it's important to not to do what we can do, but we should, like, I think my way of playing is more in a smaller way, and I think for me it was when I was young, especially, it was an effort to create more sound.
Yeah, totally.
And therefore I think it's important that if you have fantastic, beautiful piano, but you need to learn to play loud. Or I think it's important that you go in that direction.
For instance, I have to be honest, if someday I need confidence, because it happens sometimes that maybe I don't feel, then I play, really, I play this Dutillé, what I played, I do. If I can play this, then it gives me confidence. Yes, because it's my way, natural way of playing, then it's everything is there, the intervals, no, etc. Then for people who struggle about this focusing or they need more time, it's something I also do when the days I'm a little bit not finding myself. I do this, and this is very helpful for me. Like, if I do trills, trying to use very, very soft air, then it helps a lot. I don't know why. Maybe there is more resistance. It's more easy to do in the trills like this. It really activates my embouchure on that regard. But I have to be honest. This is not. I mean, this is what I can do more easily, let's say. But what I do more is do these octaves and then do this frullato that I showed before. This frullato is very...
to show you something if you want to.
Of course, yes. That's why we are here.
I think this is it's such a great exercise, which actually it's not an exercise. Have you ever played Plain Song?
What?
Plain Song by Aitken? Have you ever played it, please?
No.
I think the beginning is actually can be magic if it works. And the beginning is that you play.
Yes, no worries. No worries. That's what you know. This is what also is very interesting about having the possibility of being here at Isabelle's studio, because now that's it. If we were
The interesting thing is that he wants to have octaves.
Ah, yes.
And actually, it's quite tricky. But actually, well, this was not very well played. I can do it better if I practice and if I don't speak too much before.
Yeah, but it's because it's very difficult. I know.
But when you come out of this, if you try consciously to hold between octaves.
The two octaves, between the two,
And actually I wanted to say that as an exercise.
Yes.
And because if you end in it, your C is the most fabulous C that you can imagine.
I understand,
And because this is...
I agree.
And actually, and I was just saying this because you were talking about your octaves. You cannot do it with your lips.
Yeah.
But you have to do it with your body. And I think it's very interesting to this approach. No, you play with your body, you play with the airstream, but not. In the end, yes, you do it also. But it's not a motor of playing.
This is very interesting. I was speaking also one of the Spanish flutists I spoke because I also want to speak with young people because I think it's very interesting. Also, they are fresh. They have everything super fresh now. And I spoke with Alberto Acuña. He's now doing the Orchestra Academy in the Berliner Philharmoniker, and he's having lessons with Mathieu Dufour and with Parit, no? Yeah. And he says that Parit says everything to do so relaxed, etc. Yes, it's totally true. It's totally this, that to do this with the body and not with the lips. But it's true that at the very end, of course, there is some direction with the lips. Yes, but this is obvious. Otherwise, it would not. I mean, yes, it would be like this. Yes, but everything that you can go on that direction, it's good. Also, this, by the way, for the people that are seeing, it's what Isabelle was saying is that you have to play like the octaves. By doing not only with the lips but with the airstream, and you have to get the two octaves sounding at the same time. Yes, this I was speaking with a Spanish pedagogue, and very, very, very brilliant pedagogue, really, and he was also saying that sometimes it's very useful to work with the border, and this is with the border of the sound, where it, I mean this, no, that then the low register gets to be the other octava, no? The thing, and also to be able to play this, he called that the turbulences.
Yeah.
When you get this.
Yeah, exactly.
This, no?
Exactly.
And if you can maintain this, then you have the. You can do the magical legato because you are going through all the process. One exercise I really find very interesting to do I do a lot of times with the students, and I have to be honest, I don't do it a lot of times. No, but I know I don't do it because I have it internalized. That's why. But I have to say that sometimes, in order to warm up very, very fast, also I did, and it's like doing this. It's the same in the same direction that it's doing. So like the traverso, and then. Because the feeling is what you say. When you clean up the top D, then you have the most fabulous top D ever. You know, like. And it helps. It's very helpful and also it's very helpful for two reasons. The top D to clean it, because that's the one we will use for. No. We should practice, but anyway, the last D. But then also in order to find the low register, not. In order to find this kind of sonority,
it's very nice. Yeah.
It's you cannot
you
play.
Cannot force it. Actually.
That's it. It's not possible.
Let me try. Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah, you cannot. You cannot.
Yeah, you cannot force it. Yeah.
And I think that for I mean, of course, we will speak now about the different colors and finding them. Of course, I find very interesting. We will speak about that. But I think that for young students, it can be very helpful because it can be a tool in order to find this kind of détimbré or unfocused sound, which is not centered. That's sometimes people get confused and they think that playing this kind of sound of the après-midi, no, or playing it's like, and it's not this. It's not this. It's simply not. But it's. But it's focused, but it's not. I mean,
gentle.
you know that perfectly. I don't have to tell you. I know it's for the students.
I think it's interesting.
But sometimes people get confused and they think that this sound is not centered. When it's centered, the thing is that it's not overpressed with the lips.
Yeah,
Simply this.
It's not breathy. I would say.
That's it.
It's not breathy and it's not forced.
That's it. But I think it's very interesting. This Spanish pedagogue also said, Antonio, he was also saying that why not finding the border of the sound, even if you want to play once like. Of course, you are not going to use this kind of sound for a regular maybe piece. But for some contemporary music, it could be very helpful, no? Like. But from this, then you learn a lot in order to get the more conventional. Because it's simply not going to so much to the border, no? I think this is also very interesting when we speak about colors, that we really go to the point that it sounds bad, but not bad, but it sounds. Not that you can go totally to the border, no, of it. It's that, but this is very interesting. The piece is Plain Song by Robert Aiken, and really, if you can really play the octaves correctly, I mean, and properly without forcing, it's what Isabelle said. Then your D or the sound in the upper register, it's like it's marvelous. I could totally. Very interesting, very interesting. So I would like to speak now a little bit also, we started already, about finding different colors, also because the colors themselves, abstractly, they are nothing, because they are linked always with the musical expression. But I would like to speak a little bit with you about that. I mean, what are your feelings because I know that you have a lot of imagination for the sound, because you were, but this sound, but it's not like this, it's, okay. So, yeah, let's speak about that. For instance, in the low register, what would you say? For instance, you said before that there is. You asked me, what is your the side, your strong side, no?
Yeah.
In your sonority, for instance, what kind of sonority is for you the one that you feel more comfortable? And then you have that as a basis, I believe, and then you're able to vary that in order to have like less focused, more open, or more timbre, more. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, as I said, of course, I like it when the sound is relaxed, and I think we all do. It's just because I think the sound, what we produce, has a, maybe that's what refers most to the audience that we were talking about before. But this maybe it's in an orchestra, it does not have the same effect than maybe if you play alone or if you play in the quintet. But I mean, the audience feels what you feel when you play. And if we play in a tensed way, the audience cannot relax. But they can relax if you play in a positive way, not to fall asleep. I mean, relax. It feels just nicer to listen to a relaxed sound than to a tensed sound. Maybe that's my approach, and I think my tendency is not to play extremely loud. It's not what is closest to me. So if I read piano, I should not read piano, but I should read.
Yes.
But when it says mezzo forte, I really have to do something because it's not in my temperament to go with it.
Yeah, I guess. But
I think it's mainly it's the way of being relaxed, which I think helps also technically. Like if you think of that's actually discovered only when I was older. I didn't discover that so well or it was not so conscious to me when I was young. Like when we have what shall I say? Yeah. You play probably thousands of times Hindemith, the quintet.
Yeah.
And of course in the first movement. Okay, this was when I was younger. It was dangerous for me to play.
Yeah.
Dangerous, I would say. I could do it, yeah, if I was lucky, but actually I didn't know how to force my luck.
Yes. Yes.
And I knew, like, I was practicing, and of course, and then I thought, okay, 10 times it was fine, and then in the concert, there it was again. It was not there, and I didn't have a clear solution. What do I need to do that it works? And now I know that make space in the mouth and relax your lips as far as I can relax and still play. I would say, well, of course not like that, but then I can be sure.
Yeah, I know.
I can play, I can go for it. So relax the lips in the low octave.
Yes.
And it works.
Yes, totally. In fact, and this is something that you would say that it was not your specialty, as you just said.
No.
I have to say that. I have to say that I always say the same. Thanks for also saying. No, but I say, in fact, sometimes I do also short video tips for the students. And someday I think I'm going to do one. The title will be "Don't Hit the D," because it's not needed. Like people go. It's not needed to play this. Of course, in Hindemith, then you really need to do, of course. But in order, for me, what it's that was for me something difficult. Also, I have to say, it's not my point to play like. It's not my best point. But the only chance I have to get there, it's practicing. And suddenly, and little by little, adding more air speed or more quantity, but finding the space. That's the most important thing.
And actually, and this was this is Chandelinas. My teacher told me, don't play loud, but play clear.
Yes, totally.
And I think it's very true. If you play this passage to play, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it works, as you say, clear, and just to gradually add
Yes.
more
Yes, totally. I think
air. Yeah.
in my case it works like this. It's finding first this kind of very relaxed sound, like focus, but like French kind of that détimbré sound, no? Like, and then suddenly adding like little hits of air, like. And then eventually, gradually, you find the. And then. Eventually, you find it. It's not, again, it's not my specialty,
No.
but I learned how to do it in that rhythm, in that direction.
Yeah, and also I think what is very often in the low register, what we try to play loud and we try to be intense and to add air, which we have to do because, as everybody knows, a loud note is fast air and the soft note is slow air. This is, but still, it's the lowest register, and I think it helps actually to think that we don't have to blow.
Yeah, totally. That feeling is very important. Yes.
In that moment, I think it's better to maybe swallow.
Yes.
Swallow air.
No, but I totally agree with you. No, that doesn't work.
The flute cannot take it.
No.
It works by itself.
I totally agree.
Not to push the air.
I totally agree. This is very important point because sometimes I say this is like not how to say one will not think previously that it is like this, because what it should be logical is that if you want to play and then you go like and it's not. What I feel is like like not being me playing, like behind some if I go in the front, if I go like this, like then it's very risky.
The flute cannot take it. And also, like, I can remember that you played so beautifully the D minor concerto of
with the cowbell.
Yeah, with the cowbell, but without me playing it.
Yeah, because I'm not flute there.
Exactly. But I can remember that it was really beautiful concert when you played it, and like this is also like when the beginning of the concerto. Yeah,
of course, yes.
And you don't need to be
no.
In the opposite. Actually, you need to have the line. You don't need to be afraid of. Yeah,
of course.
And then I think the minute you can think like that,
totally,
it helps. And
totally. I will show you something very, very maybe not very conventional, but for practicing this concerto and. Because this concerto is not Baroque, this is too mundane style. But anyway, even Mozart or even this, something that I find very useful, I do sometimes. I know it can be like an imitation, but I do sometimes. I open a lot, and then I play, and then I go like. But because like this, you realize that you cannot go. You cannot blow more because it's even less you can blow than with the normal flute, and then
it's interesting.
And then when you get to normal, then you have this in mind. It's like, you know. It's more like traverso somehow. Yes.
It's like when you carry a backpack, you know, and then you.
But I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I know this is super unconventional, but sometimes when I practice Mozart, I go like this and I play just the opening, like. Trying to sound like super boot instrument somehow, and then when I play normal, it's much more easy, like.
Taking off the B foot.
Yes, that's it. Totally, it's the same feeling. Yeah, Totally, totally. And for me, it's like, oh, you realize that sometimes you don't need so much. You don't need so much this. I don't know, so much pressure or so much tension. I don't know. It's just it's just a trick. It's just like a trick. I don't know. There are a lot of things like this. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a trick, but it's even more musical.
Yeah.
So it helps the music.
It helps me to connect. Of course, you also play the. Oh, let's speak about that now briefly. What you also play? That you play much better than me. I cannot play, in fact, very well, but I know a little bit how to play the traverso.
Me too.
Okay. No, but anyway, I think that this is an influence. I will have to say, no. I mean, of course, you don't play the flute like you play the traverso. Of course, obviously, neither do I. But what would you say? There is an influence, no, from the.
I think the influence is in the way of, I think, looking at the music in general, like looking at all the music. Like of course, if you know about an instrument, you know, like on the traverso, like the articulation, how it works. You know how people play it, or how people play when they play beautifully on their traverso instruments. What they do with longer notes. How they treat them, what they if they play mezza voce or if they relax on the sound. They especially don't do especially not, certainly not. But so you learn what to take over and what is useful and what is helpful and what helps music. Even if you play it on a modern instrument.
You learn more about the language, no? I will say.
About the language. I think there are also some parts that for me it's not so convenient or it's not so comfortable for me on the traverso flute. But what we do on the modern flute, I don't know if you agree with me, for me, what I do in my throat unconsciously is quite a lot.
When you play the traverso?
No. When I play the modern flute, like just vibrato is part of. But for me, I do it in the throat. I don't do it in the stomach.
The vibrato.
Yeah.
Okay, we will speak about that.
Okay. For me, vibrato. This is part of what I can control here. It's not what I can control in the.
I understand. In my case, I have to say that for me the vibrato, it's like, for me, it's like when you do these hits of air, like ha 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 ha, like this, but they convert a little bit upper. So I agree with you. I don't feel them that in the throat, but I feel that a little bit more down, but not in the diaphragm. Not like ha ha ha.
I know everybody's learning.
It's like somehow.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And this is something that is not. It's not a good idea if I do that on the traverso flute.
Of course, yes.
And it's for me, it's very natural to do so. I mean, it just happens, well, without thinking. Of course, we are modern trained players. Yeah, I vibrate. It vibrates. I vibrate. I don't know, something inside does.
Yes, yes.
And it happens. And I cannot change. I hardly can change.
Yes,
and on the traverso flute, this kind of. I can do it, but it's not.
It's not your inner voice with the flute, with the modern flute. I understand. Yeah. It happens to me.
I think this is, for me, this is what makes it sometimes very hard. Like, hard is a challenge. What makes it a challenge? Also to switch instruments. Because it's natural for me to let it happen. And on that instrument, I must not.
Yeah, totally.
I have to find expression in a different way.
Yeah.
And I have to find expression through this purity of a round sound that doesn't move in the way I'm used to make it move. And that's the points where I find it really hard. it's not a question of saying this is good or better or bad or worse. It's only this is what happens.
Yeah, I know.
What happens for me.
I agree with you. I think that vibrato, it's something like that. It's for me also something that which is in my inner voice. And the variation of the vibrato, it's another parameter I love to play with, like. Whatever,
yeah,
but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. But I can do, but it's not. I don't know. I could not go.
Yes,
it's very strange. It's very strange.
Somehow it's probably not.
It's
you.
very strange. It's not me.
Yeah.
But one thing I try to always learn from the traverso is the resonances, and I think this is very complicated with the modern flute to find this. You know, this I find very difficult. And with the traverso, I'm not saying it's easier, but it's more in the language of the you know.
Absolutely.
And this I really try to imitate with the modern flute, because I find what I don't like at all is when people play, I don't know, again. But it's because of the resonances, the M's of the notes.
Yeah.
I really struggle with that because it's not also in my DNA. I would say my DNA, as I played, is. But even there, it's the. It's not the like this.
Absolutely.
But it's not the same because it's in the legato, and for me it's very difficult. The legato it's there, but to find the team, this is very difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Isabelle, I don't know how are you about the time, because I know that you have some compromises.
I have invited my parents.
Yes. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's a very interesting talk. I mean, it happens always. I mean, with these talks, it happens always that we could be speaking for 5 hours. Because there's so much things to speak about, and I find it so interesting. Of course, we can do it in the future again about another topic if you would like. That's not the thing. So I don't want to abuse for your time. That's the first thing. I would like just love to ask you to end, and to also know for the audience, what are your thoughts basically about the situation of musical life nowadays? Not only because about the corona situation, but yes, as well. And also, what would you recommend to a young flute student nowadays? Simply this, because I think it's very important that someone with your experience to know.
Yeah, I think the situations for musicians, for flute players, let's say it's really hard. I think it's really, really, really tough. And yeah, I admire young players who want to go through it, even if in the knowledge that it's really how hard it is. I think my advice for every young player would be just be always the best prepared that you can be. And then also, when you have a chance to play, show that you're happy to do it. And don't take your work for granted. Yeah, just be friendly and say that you appreciate it to play. And I think it helps a lot. I mean, because people want to have people around them who love what they do. They don't want to have people who just come. They want people with enthusiasm for this. Otherwise, I cannot say very much. Work hard.
Yes.
Try your best. Be positive. Maybe also be inventive, like Frederick is. Be creative and try different paths, and don't be fixed that an orchestra job is the only way of existing. I mean, there are different ways of having a fulfilled flute life. I
agree totally with you. In fact, I think that the super wise advice for young students, and really, I think that with the enthusiasm, this creativity can come from the enthusiasm. I think it's like this, because there are a lot of things that nowadays, I mean, situation is very hard for young flutists. That's the truth, and it's good to know to learn from that. But it's good also to know that we had a lot of tools, and if we can use that tools on our favor, then it's more intelligent. And what you said, diversification, for me that's the best. That's the best thing, of course. And this and an extreme preparation. I mean, if someone wants to go to an audition, it's preparation what really counts, because everyone can play very well, and then that's it's for you. It's to have the best chance. No?
And I would say preparation also, like if you have a chance to jump in somewhere and to play third flute, fourth flute, whatever, just know the score, know the part, know the piece, and makes a huge difference.
And something very interesting Isabelle said is, don't take your work for granted. This is something I really learned. I had to learn that. It's like when you have an invitation to play in an orchestra or to play somewhere, even as a freelancer, don't take that for granted, because there are so many people that can do it amazingly well. So it's not that you are grateful, like only I am grateful and like this empty. No. But that you have to really valorate that they want you to work for them. And this is something I feel always very honored when it happens. When someone wants me to play or to record or to teach or everything, I'm thankful, but not empty thankful, but really valorating what it means that someone valorates you. So then I valorate them also, because trusting me. I think this is very important, because otherwise, I mean, the personal relationships are crucially important. And I think that if that approach is there, more success can come, and that there are different options. So please be creative.
And also, I just add, you said diversity, and I would just like to add that I think nowadays for young flute players, it's really part of the job is also to play and to learn profoundly traversal. And not like me, but like really not only just try and see what happens and do your best, but I think to really play well, I think it just helps the bigger your offer is.
Yes. Or for instance, when I was speaking with Mario Caroli, he did all his career in the contemporary music. Of course, that comes from a passion. You cannot do it if you don't believe that. But it's good to know that there are different paths, no? And explore them, because not everyone has to play in an orchestra, and not everyone has to be a teacher. I mean, and there are people that they can be freelancers and teachers, and they can do. And anyway, I think that it's very important to know first of all how one is, and when you know yourself quite good, then you can be consequent with that. Otherwise, it can be tricky, because when you do something, you really have to go for it. Otherwise, it will not work so easily, because there are a lot of people. That's the thing. So, Isabelle, it was a really big pleasure. Thanks a lot for your time. It was very interesting to speak with you, as we always did. I don't know. I would like in the future to speak with you more. We will for sure do it. Maybe we could even do some video in a tour. It could happen. No, why not? We could. Next time it could be in a hotel room. Hey, look, we are playing a duo. Why not? I mean, it could be interesting. But anyway, we will see. Thanks a lot. It was very interesting. Of course, I have always a feeling that we could have spoken about much more things. But I think this is also nice, because time went very fast. And I know, and I think that maybe we could speak at this and this and about this and this, but this is the good point, because that means there are a lot of things to speak and to learn from you, and this is why I wanted to have you in this series.
Thank you so much.
That's it. So thanks a lot.
Big pleasure, big honor. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you in the next colloquium. So ciao. Enjoy the evening.
Ciao.